Hey everyone, it's Debbie, and I'm excited to have Nicole Carlson back on the show today to talk all things infrared sauna. Nicole works for Sunlighten Saunas, and one of my favorites. I love my infrared sauna that I just don't have, got rid of when I moved, but now I got to get another one because I'm missing it. So I wanted Nicole to come back on the show to dive in a little bit deeper about the benefits of sauna for recovery and repair, detoxing immune, and all sorts of things that we can do to improve our health and performance as well as longevity. So thanks, Nicole. What's going on in your world?
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. It's great to be back. Man, just busy, kind of a strange year, obviously, for everyone. But yeah, we've been really honestly busier than ever here at Sunlighten. I think people are realizing, not that they didn't, but I think, if they were on the fence or maybe just using saunas like in the studio or at the gym, with things not being quite open back up everywhere, a lot of people are really interested in getting these in their homes. So we have had some really great months here at Sunlighten, helping others, with their health and wellness goals, reach those health and wellness goals.
Yeah, once we can find our garage when we're done our remodel or new house, I have this spot to put Fred. We call it infrared sauna Fred,
Yeah.
and put him back in there. And we have a home for him just as soon as we get all the boxes out of there. But it definitely is something that I think this year should be part of our weekly routine, and partially because I think it helps you relax. But what are some top benefits?
Totally.
We talked last time, but why should people invest in infrared sauna? Because they're, like $5,000. So why are people looking at it for their own home?
Yeah. Yeah. And they do range. I mean, we do, I think you can get a solo for maybe 2,500, right? So, but there is a huge range. So we can talk about, what would fit in each person's space and budget, and obviously too, comes into play, but yeah, so relaxation, definitely, for sure. There are so many health benefits. Obviously, with things happening right now, mental health is a huge concern.
Yeah.
So relaxation is immense. It's an immense benefit, and it's a really gentle. I personally, so I have similar to what you have, I have an Impulse. We have a 3-person, and so on the 3-person, there's actually 6 preset wellness programs. One of which is relaxation. And most of the time that is the one that I do. Pain relief or, anti-aging is obviously always great. But yeah, I do use it for relaxation. And and you can probably speak to this too, but it's so cozy. So it's not like, it's very different. Sunlight and infrared saunas are so different than traditional saunas. They're a different beast. Yes, they're both a way of sweating, but they work in different ways within the body and produce different results. So one is not better than the other. They're just different. But, one thing you don't get in a traditional sauna is, I think, relaxation, because you're like sitting there like, trying to breathe, right?
Yeah.
So hot. So that's one of the huge benefits. You get in a Sunlighten and you are, and I'm a person, we're super busy. We've got 4 kids. We both work full time. He travels all the time. And it's very hard for my brain to shut off. It always has been. It's partly how I'm wired. It's partly my, my life and this, big family we have. But immediately it forces me to relax. It's like this warm, cozy blanket kind of that you're just sitting inside. And one of our partners, Dr. Caroline Leith, who we love, she talks all about, that is her whole, that's everything she focuses on is mental health. And she's a huge proponent of that. There's a lot of studies that talk about the relaxation piece of it. So that's just one of the pieces. Another thing that we're seeing right now, and one thing that we've always talked about with our saunas is the detoxification. So, they do help you detox. If you talk about a traditional versus an infrared, since we just kind of went over that, the big difference between the two is obviously traditional is hotter. Infrared is not as hot as a traditional, but it's the way you sweat. So, with infrared, it's literally going in, you're penetrating you on a cellular level, you're getting a cellular level sweat. And we have found with studies that that sweat in our sauna versus a traditional is about 20% toxin release versus a traditional is like about 2% toxin release.
Big
So
difference.
with the traditional, yeah, huge difference. And with that comes, you know, different things like this immense, tremendous way to detox in a short amount of time, which is why, you know, you do need to work yourself up into using the sauna. You know, you can't just like get in and go for an hour the first time, you know, you do it. You do want to watch your body. And of course, each person is different and the amount of toxins they have. But because you're getting that cellular level detox, which happens due to the fact that that far infrared goes into the cell, it heats the cell up. And it gives you a 3-degree rise in your core body temperature. So it kind of creates like this false fever. So when you start sweating, you're literally sweating all these toxins out, right? Versus like a nutritional sauna, you're sweating, which is great, but it's more similar to if you're outside on a hot day, sweating because it's hot out. And it's the ambient air around you that your body is trying to now, that has heated you up, and now your body's trying to cool you down. So it's just much different. So the detox piece is just incredible. Whether it is, you know, you're detoxing because, hey, let's talk about all of the wildfires going on right now, right? Like lots of people that we have a lot of fire stations that have our saunas in them. Why? Because obviously those firemen on a daily basis, right, potentially on a daily basis, are exposed to the smoke. And there's a lot of studies with how beneficial it is specifically for firemen. So it's beneficial for them. Obviously, it's beneficial for those people in those areas that are dealing with, you know, all the smoke from that. And they have even said when they sweat, of course, the consistency and the makeup of the sweat is going to be different for each person, but their sweat will actually be black. They'll have like a black sweat because it's getting all those, you know, so firemen have a whole protocol that they follow after they fight a fire, which, you know, includes rinsing and the sauna and showering again and all of that. But that's a big thing that we, you know, that has been helpful and lately, and a very timely thing we've been talking about, as well as immunity. So because you're getting that huge detox, you're building your immune system up at the same. You know, you kind of, you know, a lot of times when we're really toxic, our body is so focused on kind of the things that it does, you know, it's like it's supposed to be doing A, but it's over here doing B instead because B is here, right? Yeah. So if you if the sauna can help you detox, right, then your body can focus on what it really should do. And in that process, you're building the immunity. You know, it's causing you to be exposed to heat shock proteins because, you know, those then are fighting for you and trying to rebuild you from, you know, the inside out on the cellular level. And so you have this huge, tremendous opportunity to build your immune system and detox all at the same time, which is great, not only for the wildfires, but, you know, obviously I think everything, you know, on the forefront of most people's minds right now is, you know, how can I be my best self, right, from a health perspective. So it's really great to keep you healthy. And, you know, as we go into, you know, cold and flu season, on top of, you know, a pandemic that's still occurring. And then if you do get sick, it decreases the severity a lot of times of that illness. And not only the severity, but the, you know, the length of time that you're ill. So it's really great for those pieces as well.
Could you just review the definition of heat shock proteins for people if they're not familiar with it? And then if we could talk about, I know I'll put the link to our past podcast we did earlier this year, but near, mid, and far infrared, because I know a lot of people think hotter the better, and far infrared is a lot hotter, and people want to get the most results they can in a short amount of time. So if we can kind of start with the heat shock proteins and then the different wavelengths again.
Yeah, so I mean, a heat shock protein, it's pretty simple. It's kind of what it sounds. I mean, a heat shock protein, it happens when you expose your body to something different, right? So you shock it. That's where the shock piece of that comes in. You shock the body, expose it to something different, and then your body's like, whoa, you know, like, what is this? And so, you know, essentially what it does is it protein that then begin, you know, repairing the cells and it helps with increased circulation, which is obviously what's really great for athletes and many of, you probably listening, increased circulation. So then it increases, your time if you're injured from recovery, all the way to repair. So it's really great. A lot of people are, with biohacking and all of that, they'll do a heat shock protein, but then they'll also biohack by including a cold plunge, or doing something cold. I mean, there's so many, there's cryotherapy. I mean, there's a lot of different ways to get your cold fix, right? But there's a huge benefit of doing those, even then a double benefit of doing them, back to back as well.
So doing the sauna, jumping in a cold plunge pool, or having a cold shower, then going back in your infrared and warming back up. And then
Yep. And what you do and how you do it, I think that's all, up to the individual. We're all different. We all respond to things differently. I mean, I think, that's kind of something that people would play on with kind of what feels good for them and what works best for them. Yeah. So that's exactly it.
And then near, mid, and far wavelengths. Can we touch a little bit on that? I know it's a review, but I think I just always hear people, as I emailed you the other day, want just the hottest infrared sauna, and they think, okay, if it doesn't go to 150, 160 degrees, it's not going to be as beneficial as 120 to 130 degrees in different wavelengths.
That's right. So and we'll get questioned, well, is near infrared better than far infrared? Or I've heard near infrared is bad, or, here's the thing, they're just all different. Near, mid, far, they're different. So is infrared versus traditional. There's benefits in all of it, right? It's just, what are you looking to get out of it? So the far infrared is actually, so it's interesting because in relation to the sun, the far infrared is the farthest away, then the mid, and then the near is the closest. So it's actually the hottest of the wavelengths. So we have to convert that. And when we convert it, it actually then makes it the coolest, because we wouldn't be able to use it as hot as it is. So we have to convert it. So it's kind of strange in the way they're, hottest to coolest. But when you're talking about then converting them so that where your body can actually absorb those wavelengths, the far infrared is the one that goes the furthest, just like it's named, the furthest into the body, that is. And it is the hottest. This is the one that's going to make you sweat the most because of that 3-degree core body temperature. And so it's kind of, I guess I could describe it as, it's kind of like the daddy of them all. I mean, it gives like so many benefits, right? I mean, reduces blood pressure, it helps with weight loss. I mean, there's just like so many things that it does. But then you take the mid and the near, and it takes a few of those benefits that far gives you, and it like levels them up a notch. Okay. So with mid, really, really important for athletes, for muscle recovery and injury prevention, because it gets in there and it helps even more with circulation, really helps repair those muscle tissues and fibers. So it's really great for that. We've had a lot of, I'm going to throw it out there. It'll be a shameless plug, but we're from Kansas City. Sunlighten has been in Kansas City. We're now in our 21st year of business. So if you're an athlete, you may be aware of the Kansas City Chiefs, or even if you're not, you're just a football fan. So we're really proud that, Patrick Mahomes, he got hurt last season before we won the Super Bowl. He got a Conquer. He and Brittany have it in their home. They use it. It definitely helps, obviously, with his recovery. Now we've got Travis Kelce and many other Chiefs players that are using them, and not just with the Chiefs, but all over, whether it be soccer, professional baseball. We have a lot of these professional athletes that are using our product. And so mid is super important for them, because that mid infrared is something they're definitely going to want. When you go to near infrared, you don't sweat at all from near infrared. It's really more of a surface level. It's a skin. So when you think of near infrared, it's it's really from a skin perspective that you're getting those benefits. We can call the vanity wavelength if we want, but it's great for fine lines, wrinkles, but it's also good for things like psoriasis, eczema, acne, right? Like there's a lot of things like that it's good for. And like I said, you don't sweat. It's not hot, but it's really good for increasing collagen and elastin in the skin and plumping things up and just really getting that skin to be, vibrant and healthy again. So they're just different. There are, red light only, or I should say near infrared only saunas. You know, but if you're doing that, you're not getting any of the detox or muscle piece. They're strictly really just that surface level skin. And then people, we're talking about near, we should probably talk about red light, because people will say, well, I have red light, right? Well, red light's different. It doesn't penetrate even as much as the near infrared. So if you're thinking of red light, it's kind of like red light and then even more benefits with near infrared. So red light is, you know, it is great, and it's a great tool, but it doesn't go as far as the near infrared does. So both great for skin, but they're, you know, near is going to give you more benefits than red light. When you think about saunas then with mid, near, and far, and traditional, and the heat and all of that, you know, there's a lot of question on that. Well, I'm going to get this sauna because it goes to, you know, 160 degrees. Here's the thing with that. Really, that's just a personal preference. Our saunas get hot enough to where, I mean, most of the studies show where those benefits come, which our saunas get well above. You're not necessarily going to get even more benefits if it's 170 degrees. They're just, it's a hotter experience. And some people, there's that mental connection. Oh my gosh, as soon as I got in the sauna, I started sweating immediately. And that's what they want. Me personally, it's personal. I would never sit in a sauna that hot. I don't like traditional saunas. I never have. I'm uncomfortable. I feel like I can't breathe. But there are people that love it, and really, you know, that's their focus. They want to be as hot as possible. So we have options for you. I mean, we have our signature. Our signature series is far infrared only. You know, it's got, you know, the basic operating system like most people are used to. It's an on-off temperature and timer. And it's great. I mean, the far infrared is what we built, you know, or created, I guess I should say, started building our company with. And so it's a wonderful, I mean, I highly recommend far infrared. Personally, I would recommend that over anything else, just because you do get so many benefits from it. But if you want to take it to the next level, then you can get the impulse line, which has the far, the mid, and the near. They're separated out. Why this is important in this specific sauna is, we're the only, have a patent on this. We're the only manufacturers, which we are a manufacturer, which is also a lot different than a lot of the others out there. But you're going to get your far, your mid, and your near. They're surrounded. You're surrounded in that in the sauna. So each of the panels, each of the heater panels has a section for far, a section for mid, a section for near. The reason that is so important is because like we were talking about how far those wavelengths travel into your skin or into your cells, or, you know, which, depending on which it is. You do have to be close to near to really get the benefits. It doesn't travel very far. You have to be semi-close to receive the benefits from the mid. The near, it doesn't really. If you're in a sauna and you've, the far, if you're in the sauna and you've got far infrared, you know, you can really be sitting anywhere in there and you're going to get those far infrared benefits. But the near, you do have to be close to. So that's really important to note, as well as it's the only sauna out there that runs on a tablet. So I mentioned earlier, it does have 6 preset wellness programs, so you can choose. And then there's a blank space, so you can create your own. So I most of the time I do the relaxation, but depending on how I feel, I may change it up and do something different. As well as there's some preloaded apps, Netflix and Pandora and things like that, if that's something that, you know, that you're interested in. Then you talk about our newest line, which is the Amplify, which is, I think one of your clients had a question about the Amplify. So the Amplify, we really created that for our commercial customers, because, you know, a lot of these people, sauna studios or gyms, you know, people are used to being in these saunas and being super hot, because a lot of them do have traditional saunas, or they have another brand sauna that, you know, a lot of them do get up to that 165 range. So we kind of created this just because there is a subset of people that really want to be hot. So if that's the experience that you want, it still has our incredible far infrared panels surrounding you. So you know you're still getting that 3-degree rise in your core body temperature. But in the front, just like what other manufacturers provide, is it has a couple of ceramic heaters. And what those ceramic heaters do is their function is to blast that heat. So think about a ceramic heater that you use in the winter when it's cold. You know, that's essentially what it's doing. You add in heaters, because you can't get that type of heat from infrared. Okay, so the infrared panels alone. I mean, you have to have it. It has to be converted through the ceramic heaters in order to get it super, super hot like that. So in ours, you can have them on, you can have them off. That is the ceramic heaters you can choose. They do deliver, and a lot of other companies, they call them full spectrum. So they do deliver a far, mid, and red, but they pulsate them. So you really have no idea the quantity or the quality of the infrared that you're getting. This goes for in our Amplify as well as in, any of the other companies' infrared saunas that are out there that they call full spectrum. So they all are full spectrum because they do deliver far, mid, and near, but they pulse it, and it's a blend. Whereas in the Impulse, it's parsed out, so you know the quantity and the quality of that infrared you're getting. I mean, you know that if you want it, you're getting far, mid, and near the entire time, versus it being this blend where you don't really know what you're getting. So to me, the reason you would want the Amplify is simply because you are one that really prefers that super, super hot experience. Mm-hmm. But hot doesn't equal better.
Yeah.
It's just different.
Well, I think people want, they think that, if it's hotter, they don't have to sit there as long and get more benefits in 10 minutes than having to sit in, say, the Impulse for 30, 45 minutes. They think, okay, if I can get it all done in 5 minutes, why not get the hotter one? More efficient. But that's not the truth, because you're not getting the different wavelengths depending on what you're looking for to get the benefits from the sauna.
That's correct.
Okay. Yeah. So then the other thing is looking at immune system and how we want to build the immune system. I keep saying since March 2020 to get healthy and work on getting healthy. But as I've written about since 2013, my own story about chronic stress is getting healthy is about, it's never just one thing. It's always multiple things that are contributing to the reason that we're not having a strong immune system and building resiliency. So looking at these different hidden internal stressors that we talk about in FDN as practitioners that are impacting our hormone balance, our immune system, detoxification, digestion, our energy systems and nervous system, these hidden internal stressors that become chronically elevated or dysfunction or imbalance, I think would be improved or get some benefits from implementing an infrared sauna into a weekly protocol because of the whole chronic stress, the beaker of stress that gets overfilled from all these toxins in our environment, from our crazy world, people with kids, you guys have to homeschool them while you're working full time. I mean, there's just a lot of stress externally, but then internally. And I think my thing is to look at, treating the whole person, but adding an infrared sauna into your protocol to rebuild and get healthy, because the whole common denominator, I think, is chronic stressors. Would you agree or, add anything to that?
Oh yeah, no, there's so many stressors. And yes, like you said, I mean, there always has been in life, but especially since, March. And it's not just one thing. It is, it's the environmental, it's, what we're dealing with. I mean, I've got 4 kids. They're on 3 different schedules. One is hybrid, one is home, 2 of them are home all the time. Like one's in all the time. I mean, it's very stressful. And even if it's just as simple, even if you're not in that situation, I have found in talking to, I know a lot of people in the health and wellness space really, and it's amazing. And I feel very lucky to be able to talk to a lot of people, but, I think it's, even if you don't, even if you don't think these things are impacting you, something as simple as watching the news is impacting you. The news is very stressful. I'm not saying don't watch the news, but I am saying that whether but I'm saying that whether you do, you know it or not, if you're watching, and there's so much and there's so many ways. I mean, there's a really great, it's called The Social Dilemma. It's an incredible documentary on Netflix right now that's talking about, how they specifically, a lot of these platforms out there, designed their platform to, almost like to be addictive. And so if you know that your phone's telling you, go look at this, I mean, even that is stressful, right? Yeah. So whether it's the news or social media or whatever it is, there's so much stress on us. And then of course what we eat, I mean, that's a huge, huge piece of actually a nutritionist by trade, and it's so much, it's not all of it, but it's a huge piece. So yeah, there's a ton of stressors, and that's what's great about the sauna. And I don't care if you're 1 or 101, literally everyone should be using a sauna. And my entire family uses it. My parents, my children. I would love to get my grandparents in it, but they're locked down in the facility where they live. They're in a what's the name of it? Like a, I mean, they have care. I mean, it's an apartment, but they have medical care, but they can't leave. They haven't been able to leave since March. And a lot of times they're in their room. They can't even leave their room. So I would love to get them. They're in their 90s. My grandfather just turned 96, So I can't imagine the stress that it's having on everyone, right now. We're just all in so much stress, but every single one of the people that I love should be in a sauna. And if they can be, they are. We share it with our family. It's kind of a family affair, and we're so glad. And part of the reason that it helps with stressors, using sauna is great for the stress, because it increases serotonin level. On top of that, it increases white blood cells, increases the T cells. I mean, it is doing so much work. It's much more complicated than just, sitting and sweating. I mean, sweating can get kind of complicated. And there's so many benefits of doing it, and it definitely helps with stress relief.
Well, I think a lot of that is what my point is, that to get healthy, let's work on reducing those external and internal chronic stressors. And that is what we're eating, how we're living life, getting outside, getting sunlight exposure, and watching the sun rise and the sunset, all these different health building lifestyle habits we can implement, as well as eating real food, and, look at intermittent fasting that works for you. But I think it's really essential, if we can invest in our health, is what I keep talking about, is the lab testing, and identify those hidden internal stressors as mold toxicity and pathogens and, liver congestion, stuff you don't know about unless you test. But how the infrared sauna so strongly correlates with in a protocol for an individual, because of all the different toxins that people have. Everyone's got some sort of gut stuff going on, leaky guts. Everyone seems to have a overloaded liver, and things that we can do before we go in the infrared, like doing a quicksilver liver sauce and hydrating with minerals or sea salt, and preparing that body to help boost up the liver support so it can help eliminate these toxins that we're sweating out. But what you said earlier, not doing too much too fast, because you have to prepare your body, make sure those elimination pathways are not clogged, and you're able to release those toxins not so fast because you're overwhelming the system, as I know a lot of people do, because they just think that more is better, and let's see what I can do.
Yeah, you do have to do it slow, because there's just so many, everyone's so different. And so it's just like, I personally believe, there's not like one specific way we should eat. I think you should do the tests. There's so many tests out there that can help you identify foods that your body doesn't identify with. A lot of that goes back to your genetics and, your ancestry and where you're from. There's just a ton of research on that. So I think that's another thing you can add in there, and getting outside and doing everything you can, like you said. But yeah, once you're in the sauna, even if you're doing all the right things, or so to speak, right? Even if you're trying to reduce your toxic load, you're still toxic. It's impossible to, any toxins in your body. And so when you do get in, you need to take it seriously. I would start at like 15 minutes. I wouldn't go more than that. And then you can slowly work your way up. You definitely want to hydrate. You want to, make sure you have lots of water. I would take some water in with you. I would be careful as to what the material is. I typically take a glass bottle in with me, just because you have to think about not only what you're drinking from, but any clothing that you're wearing, anything you have in the sauna, it's heating up. So if it does have toxic materials or toxic fibers or ingredients, you want to make sure you're not, taking things out, but also putting them back in at the same time, because the glass or the whatever it is you have in there, the plastic water bottle is also heating up. But yeah, make sure you stay hydrated, and then watch for, you'll know if you're doing it too fast. It's going to be those typical kind of detox symptoms. They should be minor, but each person's different. It's just say, but headache, or just like extra fatigued. I mean, really, it's interesting because although the sauna relaxes you, you also get out feeling energized, if that makes sense. It's kind of hard to explain until you do it. But you shouldn't feel extra fatigued. You shouldn't feel ill in any way. So that's why you just want to do it slowly. We say, 15 minutes, stay hydrated, work yourself up maybe 5 minutes at a time, up to maybe 45 minutes. You don't get really any additional benefits staying in there longer than 45 minutes. What you have to realize about this is, about infrared sauna, it's different. If you're outside, we're in the Midwest and I'm a runner. So I'll go running in the summer and it's, 90 degrees, right? Or 100 degrees. I don't normally run when it's that hot, but if it's 90 degrees, then, I immediately come in and try to cool down, right? Once I'm cool, I'm cool. Okay. With infrared, it actually, your body stays, it can be up for an hour and a half. I mean, it's not like that core body temperature, that 3-degree rise you got. It's not like it comes down immediately. So you're getting benefits even after you're not in the sauna any longer. It continues to stay with you. I typically recommend, actually don't shower right away. If you want to let, your pores are now opened, you're detoxing. You don't want to close them off right away and shower. You want to give it a little bit of time. So I would let those, don't rinse them off yet. Let them keep coming out and then shower a little bit later. But yeah, you just have to be careful. We're all different and you want to watch for those symptoms. I would just say, start at the 15, work up to 45, but there's no additional benefits for, it being even hotter or staying in even longer. And it's going to stay with you. It'll take a little time for your body to cool down and you'll still be getting those benefits.
What about do you wait until you start sweating? Because I know sometimes it take me longer until I broke a sweat, depending if I just worked out or if I was, the body was stressed. So do you find it, right when you break a sweat, then stay a few more minutes, or what have you found to be most effective to get more of a detox sweat?
Yeah. So, most of the time people definitely have problems sweating. I mean, it can be blocked. There's so many reasons why. I mean, some people are really great sweaters and some people aren't. I will tell you that I've never been a great sweater. If I'm exercising, doing just like, an exercise class, I don't ever sweat that much. But when I run, I sweat a ton, but that's the only time I sweat. Any other cardio really doesn't make me sweat. I don't know why. That's just the way my body works.
Me too.
But even now, after regular use of sauna, I don't sweat until about the last 15 minutes. And the first 4 or 5 times I used it, I didn't sweat at all. I shouldn't say I don't sweat. I don't get like that really, really dripping sweat until about, probably maybe 20 minutes in. My husband gets in, he's sweating immediately, profusely, all over the place. It's absolutely disgusting. So, everyone's different. If you're not sweating, it's very common to not have a ton of sweat when you first start using the sauna. Just stick with it, stick with it. Eventually your body will get used to it. It'll get around whatever it is that's blocking you from sweating. It's still working. Yeah. Even if you're not sweating, you may not see it. And so for a lot of people, that's hard to connect. It's like, because we want to see it and then we can understand it, right? But just have faith that it's definitely still working, even if you're not sweating.
Well, that's what I would ask is a lot of people would think, oh, this isn't doing anything for me. This is a waste of time because I'm not sweating. So I need to get out and this is a waste of my money. I mean, right. A lot of people are there type A that really need this. They don't know how to relax and shift into that parasympathetic state to let their bodies start to heat up from the inside out. So I think a lot of people are, struggling with not being able to sweat because of various reasons, but they just think, why bother?
Why bother? Yeah. I promise you will sweat. You'll definitely sweat once you get used to it. I consider myself in that type A category, and it's very difficult when I first start. It's hard for me just to sit, honestly, most of the time. So that's something like I really have to work on because it is so important to sit and relax and do nothing. And that's why it's really great to do it in the sauna if those type A people, but stick with it. It's still working. You have to be patient, which can be hard for type A's. But yeah, be patient, stick with it. It is still working and you will sweat. It's not going to be like that every single time. It could take 4 or 5, 6 times.
Mhm. And do you do anything before or after to, as I said, like liver sauce or something to help support the liver, and then post sauna do a GI detox or ultra binder like Quicksilver has to help soak up those toxins and bind them and get them out?
Yeah, I mean, that's a personal preference. Again, I think those are all great things. I think, it's not a bad idea. Most of the time, if I don't have the time to take those extra steps, right? So if you have the time, it'd be great. And every once in a while on a weekend, I may eat a certain something before or after just to kind of, prepare my body. Or I might use, I do use essential oils a lot of times in conjunction with make sure you're using a really good one. Don't use anything that doesn't say you can't use it topically. That's not an essential oil. Make sure you read your labels. But yeah, I think it's both of those would be great. I mean, those are great suggestions, Debbie. I think anything people can do to continue to support the body to prepare it, to start, opening up, getting that liver to release, and then to continue detoxing afterwards is great. So
Yeah, for sure. I think that would be something you decide with your health practitioner and create an individualized protocol. For sure, as we were talking about nutrition, looking at your ancestry DNA reports or genetics as DNA fit and different things as that. And then I know Dr. Ben Lynch has their new, which I just got email yesterday, their new strategy reports out, and that gives more information. But it's collecting clues for health practitioners that are like, I'm doing nutritional therapy and FDN practitioner, where we kind of investigate what's going on, then create a protocol with nutrition and these lifestyle behaviors as an infrared sauna to help rebuild you from the inside out at a cellular level. So you don't just want to go be stuck in that cycle of trial and error, just guessing what to use and what to take. I think it's really get that individualized approach with a certified practitioner that will really know what to do for you to get the most benefits out of, all what you're doing, and these different biohacks that people listen to as infrared sauna, cold thermogenesis, and fasting, and this and that. And then, they're just on this constant quest to improve their performance, longevity, but just never really getting the desired results, because I think no one really ever has a organized, individualized plan based on their body's needs. And they're just always going for the next best thing. So they never really stick with anything long enough, right? I just like, okay, I heard infrared sauna. Now I got to get the red light therapy to go with it. All right, no, that's not good anymore. I got to try the red lights on my face, the handheld, and then I got to do this, and then get a cold tub.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of things. Yeah, there's a lot of things you can add, but definitely, work with a local practitioner and find someone who's, knowledge in these things and can help you, set yourself up for success and help you reach those goals.
Yeah. So what we'll do is add links in the show notes. We did say you found a new research study about cold therapy and the alternating hot cold. And I think that'd be interesting. And anything on the red light. I know Sunlighten has a red light therapy you can add into your saunas, right? You still have that?
No, we don't have, well, we have chromotherapy,
chromotherapy.
Which is amazing for stress. Yeah. And that is, there's a lot of science behind different colored lights and what they do and their effect on the brain. So that is now standard in all of our units, which is amazing. It did used to be an add-on. We don't have red light. We do have a handheld wand, which is incredible,
that's what I mean.
Especially for athletes on the go. And it has different blends of red light, blue light, near infrared. It's got 4 different heads that you can pop on and off. There's one for sport, which is really great. I broke my ankle last summer. It was amazing. But yeah, that we do have, and it's amazing because you can, it charges with the USB. And so it's just in a little pouch. You can, carry it with you. So that's really great. That's going to be more for, localized, right? Mm-hmm. So localized, it's great for the face, obviously.
Yeah, for this area.
For pain. Yeah, exactly. Yes,
no wrinkles.
Right, I know. I need to use mine more. So.
Okay, well, I'll put that in the show notes too, because I think that's interesting. But I love hearing what else is new and just talking about the benefits of it, because it's so confusing. People just hear, infrared, but they don't really know the why. And then the near, mid, and far infrared wavelengths versus just far versus near, all right, why? And I always like to dive in into it a little deeper and get to what the real definitions are and what the meanings are and research behind it. So if you guys have questions, let us know and we can send them to Nicole. And I always ask her questions. She's always good at getting back to me. So I can put them all into the links to the show notes below the podcast. So thank you, Nicole, for coming on today and updating us with the Sunlighten Infrared Sauna benefits.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for having me.